Welcome to another episode of iStartFirst podcast, lady. Thank you for tuning in with us. Today, we're going to talk about PR, as in public relationships, but we're also going to talk about the importance of knowing what you're building your foundation for your business from and understanding what it really takes to be a single female entrepreneur. You cannot afford to miss this episode with one and only the Magic Myden, Nicole Myden. Hi, loves. Welcome to iStartFirst podcast, the show for boss babes who start ideas, businesses, dreams, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Alinka Cullinan, founder of iStartFirst, speaker, author, and business coach, aka Queen of Pushing Boss Babes Off the Ledge. On this show, I chat with epic humans who are guaranteed to up-level your business and mindset. Are you ready to sparkle up? Let's go. Hi, ladies, and welcome to another episode of iStartFirst podcast. I am so excited. You have no idea how excited I am for our guest today because she's one of my closest friends. She's absolute magic. As a matter of fact, she does carry that very special name of Magic Myden in the community. She's PR extraordinaire, probably one of my favorite human beings, an amazing woman. So give it up for Nicole Myden.
Wow. Well, I think you can be my publicist now.
Yes, I'm in. So great to have you, Nicole. But tell them a little bit. I mean, we all know everybody sees bits and pieces of your story here in the community. So tell us more. Why PR? It's such a special niche and people, I feel, either love it or avoid it. So
yes, love it or hate it.
Yes.
That's usually what happens. I get clients that come to me and they say, I had a horrible experience or I had an amazing experience. There's never anything in between. But basically the long of it short. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I love you and I admire what you're building and how you're helping women in such an integrity-based way and such a genuine way. So I love you and thank you for creating this platform for these beautiful conversations. But essentially what happened with me, so 20 years ago when I graduated college, when I was studying in college, nobody was majoring in publicity. It wasn't really a thing you could study. So I grew up wanting to be a journalism. I love storytelling. I love the entertainment industry. I wanted to write for a magazine. That was like my dream. You know, I always read the fashion magazines and I thought, I grew up in LA, I'll be in LA or New York and I'll write for a magazine and that would be the dream. Through an internship, ironically, my senior year of college, I fell into public relations. And what I found was that it encapsulated, if you will, everything I love, which was connecting people, storytelling, event planning, I'm a people person. So it just seemed like this perfect job for me. And I love writing and all the things. So I came out of college and basically from 2000 up until 3 years ago, I was in Los Angeles doing the basic LA grind, climbing the corporate ladder and doing a breadth of really incredible PR jobs. I started in the entertainment industry, working with celebrities. I worked on American Idol. I had my fun in entertainment. And at 25, I actually started my own boutique PR firm in LA, which I ran for 8 years. So I worked, my time in LA was kind of a compilation of working for some of the big agencies and then also working for myself, which is wild to look back on. And now I'm in my second round as an entrepreneur at 40 and doing it all by myself. So for anybody out there listening, you can do it and you can do it twice and you can keep reinventing yourself. But yeah, I do love it. And, I trust that internship was divinely put in my plate, or put in front of me really for a reason at that time. It changed my entire trajectory. I've done nothing else but PR for 20 years. I don't know if I'll be doing it 20 years from now, but right now all signs are leading for me to continue to do it until something else manifests. So it's been a great ride.
I love it. And I mean, I am a testimony to you because every connection, every opportunity, you've opened doors for me to so many things. I mean, you completely changed my mind, to be honest, on PR because same thing. It's kind of a love-hate relationship depending who you're working with. And, you come into Phoenix, come into Arizona. I mean, ladies, if you're here, track this woman down. She's absolutely extraordinary. You came to speak at the very first iStartFirst Summit. And I mean, we might as well release the news here because Nicole is coming to speak at the anniversary summit.
Yay!
I am so excited. Yeah. So like, it's definitely a journey. It's a fifth summit. You're going to be there watching you build your business. And I mean, literally, now that you just said it about doing it second time, I thought of that memo, of that meme. I mean, when they say, if they tell you you can't do it twice and take pictures.
I've been taking a lot of pictures, Lenka.
Yes, I love that. But yes, and I mean, but just seeing you, how beautiful you navigate the area, how you basically made yourself here. I mean, the fact that you've only been here 2 years is mind blowing to me. Like I see you in the community, I'm like, it feels like she's been here forever, which is extraordinary.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just the fact that you do it with small businesses, entrepreneurs, which is not your typical PR crowd, right? Like everybody thinks of PR as a massive amount of dollars spent, great, like huge publicity, going after this national, stations, journals, magazines, whatever you name it. But you really specialize and do it with such grace with, so many smaller companies, entrepreneurs. Why? How did you fall into that?
I just got chills. That's such a great question. Well, it's interesting because I come from, the big brand world and the big consumer world. And I've worked in everything from fashion to beauty to entertainment to film to, technology, health and wellness. I mean, every consumer product under the sun. And I think that having that experience and working with those huge brands with those huge budgets, you learn how to do PR in a very different way when you're working with unlimited budgets and you get to do all these events and you get to have access to all these tools. You get a really great result. But I was fascinated as I was going on my personal journey and pivoting from moving out of LA into Scottsdale, realizing that my soul wasn't kind of done being an entrepreneur, starting my business again here, but with the purpose that I was kind of living and breathing as I was evolving spiritually. I was meeting so many amazing entrepreneurs on the ground here, and I would say, oh my God, your story is amazing, or you have the most amazing mission, or you've got this incredible service or product. You really should be getting press. And people would say, what, me? They would think because they're not a big brand, but I loved this idea of creating a business around helping small business owners understand that they're worthy of press, because really anybody that has a story, and Lord knows at this point in the journey, we all have a story as to, and probably multiple stories as to how we are doing what we're doing right now, what the evolution of our soul's been to get us to do what we're doing right now, because we're probably in our second or third, pivot or reinvention at this point, right? Or at least a lot of us. So I found it fascinating to really be somebody here who could niche down and really make people feel confident in the PR process and make them realize that they could be on the cover of a magazine or on a morning show. And that also there is such value and beauty in being in this market here in Phoenix that you don't just have to be in LA or New York to get press, that you can get great press in your local hometown where you and your brand are based, and really use that to leverage ultimately larger national opportunities down the road.
Yeah, no, I love that so much. And honestly, like I said, I love how you do it because I'm a big Instagram person. I live and breathe there. I get all my clients. I mean, it's like my playground.
You're so good at it.
Yeah. But I love, that really changed my perception. I would just go on Instagram and I see your account and I see so many of my friends and local business owners and entrepreneurs, and they would tag you and, they're on this show and then this magazine. And I'm like, she just does it. She just does it so eloquently, but also you made it so simple for us. You made it worthy. On one hand, you made a huge perception. I'm going to speak for a few of my friends who've been working with you, using your services. And the fact that we all agreed in one thing, because on one hand, you made it very simple. You made it for us to understand. Like I remember being at your first event when you said everyone is PR worthy. And I thought, it's such a brilliant line. But on the other hand, you do it in such a great way because it just gives us so many different, like you look at things with a completely different angle. We see our story. Yeah, you do. And you've done it with me. Like I said, I've seen so many local businesses where I'm like, I never even thought about it like this. And you would pitch it to a magazine or a TV show with a completely different angle where all of us go, it's been under our nose this
Yes.
whole time.
Yeah.
And we needed Nicole to come in to just show. So
Yeah.
if you were just before we dive a little bit deeper, because I know everybody knows your PR story. So we're going to go into Nicole Myden, the entrepreneur story next. But just if, because the girls in the Sparkle Tribe, a lot of them are kind of same thing, startups, kind of mid-stage companies. If you were to give them like a couple of quick tips of what to do with those first, like everybody's scared. So how to dabble in PR without spending thousands of dollars? Can you give them a couple tips?
100%. So I would say that whether you're new to the market you're in or not, you've got to become really comfortable reaching out to media to build meaningful relationships with them, because ultimately we're looking to build a rapport with the journalists in our hometown, which these will be the gateway to these will be the people ultimately telling our story to a larger community, which will turn into customers, right? So being confident to do some research to see whether it's on Instagram or you're Googling, who are my local news anchors? Who are my local magazine and newspaper reporters? Can I craft an email to them and get their information via Google or calling the magazine to get their info and invite them maybe just to lunch to get to know, feel free to invite them to just get to know you. Or if you have a brick and mortar, you're just launching a clothing store, a fitness studio, invite them in to do a free workout with you, right? You want them to get to understand who you are as a person and also what is prompting you to do what you do. And the key is to create an experience for them to do that. So whether you're doing it over coffee, if you can't afford, a big crazy lunch, that's okay. You can always invite them to coffee. Send them a note to an event that you're throwing, invite them to participate in what you're doing so that now they see you as a resource, as an expert in your niche that you're involved in. That's really important because it all stems to relationships, like any business, but especially in my business. You want to be the expert and the resource that they think of when they need someone to speak on the topic that you niche in. So building the relationships is huge, involving them in either events you're throwing or creating your own experience by inviting them, to get to know you. The other thing is you want to have all your tools in place. So make sure, and you don't have to spend a lot of money doing this, but you want to have really good imagery of yourself if you're the brand person and or your product or your service, because you want the image to kind of help bring the brand to life when you're pitching or reaching out to media. So as you're emailing, you want to have a photo, you want to have like a hyperlink page to either a landing page or a website. So really basic 101 stuff for your brand or business. Maybe you have an event invitation, or you have a course you're launching, or you're about to open a nail salon, or you're doing a fashion show, or whatever it is. You want to give them the nuts and bolts and keep it really simple in an email, because you have to remember that they're getting inundated with emails. So if you could get right to the point as to what you're wanting them to come to or know about you, how you're different, what solution you provide, focus on your differentiators and how you're going to help make a consumer's life simpler, then you will build a rapport with the journalist.
Oh, I love that. I mean, ladies, I hope, first of all, save this podcast.
Yeah.
You're going to have to re-listen to those last 5 minutes, because I was about to grab my notebook and start taking notes, and I've been working with her before. So, I mean, yes. So I love everything about this. And that's why I love the fact that you just make it, like I said, super straightforward. You are not... Yes. Yeah. Make it simple, make it about relationships. And, I absolutely love that advice. So like I said, either if you're listening to us, save it. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you rewatch that last 5 minutes, because she gave you a few $1,000s worth of training if you go to a big agency.
Yes. And also remember that, I always tell people when I teach not to discount like the youngest person or the smallest title person, maybe at either the news station or the magazine, because that person that starts out as the intern or the assistant, if you build the relationship, that person will probably end up running the magazine one day, right? Yes. So you really, really want to invest in relationships with everybody on the staff as best as you can, and know that whether they stay at that media outlet or they go to another one, you will continue to build that rapport with them if you maintain a, genuine relationship with them.
Yeah, this is gold. This is so
Yeah.
good. No, so true.
Yeah.
So true. And it's just like you said, it's a small world. Everybody knows everybody.
That's right.
All the media outlets communicate somehow, they cross paths. So yeah, it's definitely worth keeping those relationships going. I mean, it's happened to me how many times. And like you said, positioning yourself as an expert, to me,
Right.
that's just key, because I've had it where they call me back and say, hey, we're running episode on women, or it's Women's
Yeah.
International Women's Day. We need something. So yes, make their life easy, position
That's
yourself as expert, and don't be afraid. They're just people. I remember when Nicole at one of her events was like, hey, go talk to him. He's like, whatever, runs this TV station. I'm like, me? You want me to go talk to him? She's like, he's a guy. He's a normal human being. And, it's completely fine.
They're people just like us, right? And
Right.
we shouldn't put them on such a high pedestal. Like, remember that that's the whole worthy part, right? That we are worthy of it. We're worthy of talking to them. We're worthy of being in front of them. We're worthy of the opportunities. So it's all mindset.
Absolutely. I love it. And if you hear in the barking at the background, that's my pup, everybody. He's very cute, just very loud sometimes.
Oh.
But, we talk, I love it. And like I said, to me, you are one of the best that I've seen in PR. I absolutely love the way you do it, the way you help everybody. But there is also the entrepreneur piece of it. That's you, like, like I said earlier, do it twice and take pictures, move into, like, let's just recap. We move into the new town, starting it over here.
Moving to the new town, knowing only about 4 or 5 people, by the way.
Right. Starting over, basically building yet another boutique agency from scratch.
Yes.
Being single, doing it completely on your own. Your family's not here to have your back or support you anyhow. Yeah. Going through some personal, like deep personal struggles with, losing some very close people in your life.
Yes.
And yet you're running, and I see you showing up.
Yeah.
What is it like to, what is some, can we just, we'll just go raw and real, ladies. It is not, despite of what social media that we all love so much tells you, being a single female entrepreneur is not an easy task. It is not for the faint of heart.
No.
There are a lot of days where you want to quit and leave the country. Nicole heard me say that before. And her and I had a lot of conversations where, we do come to the point sometimes where it's just tough. It's just, there's no other way to put that.
Yeah.
So what do you go to? What do you look inside to get yourself out of that zone?
Wow. I was listening to you say all that, and there are days where I can't believe sometimes that I really have been able to accomplish what I have done here. And I attribute a lot of it to a work very well, but a lot of the spiritual journey that I've gone on, because, when I got here, I was feeling in full alignment almost 3 years ago. I had just come off of building myself up from 35 years old in LA. I walked away from a marriage after only 6 months. I started from zero financially, energetically. I had no things. I literally walked away from somebody. So wow. I had rebuilt my life in LA for about 2 years, and then soulfully was just not feeling connected to Los Angeles. So I came here. I had no job here. I had no reason to come here other than a gut instinct that the universe was pulling me to Scottsdale. And here I felt like I wanted to start my business again. I had basically walked away from a very, very high 6-figure salary because there was something in my gut that said, you need to do this again and you're going to serve all these people. And I remember that I had gone to a spiritual advisor who had said that I was going to work with like hundreds of clients in my next endeavor. And I kept thinking, what the heck is it? But now it all makes sense, because there's between the workshops and everything else, we're not at hundreds, but we're not far from it. So essentially what I want to share with everybody is this. I came to a brand new city. I barely knew anybody here. And I just continued to do something I love, and I continued to be who I was. When I got here, though, I felt like I was in full alignment. I started my business. I was diving into all the things that you hear everyone say on Instagram. get into the flow, get into your alignment, leave your job, take that leap, start your craft, build, build, build. And I was doing that, and everything was feeling amazing. And I felt for like a year here that I was designing this life that I'd always imagined. But I was operating in a way forgetting that I'm untouchable or that anyone around me is untouchable, right? And essentially what happened after about a year of me having the business, which was thriving and doing great, and I was feeling so much joy, I ended up losing my father and my grandfather within a 10-day period. So what's happening with all these entrepreneurs out there is that we are taking these leaps, leaving these amazing jobs, and we're doing our purpose, which is fulfilling. But what not a lot of people talk about, which I know you and I love to talk about, is the reality of what goes on when you are single. Whether you're a man or woman, you are single, you are following your passion because it makes you feel in alignment and you're doing what you are supposed to be doing, but life still continues to happen. Well, for anybody listening who hasn't lost a parent or a loved one, or essentially like I did, my two fathers basically within a week, it literally knocked me out. So I had no choice. I needed to face the grief, which has now taken me 2 years to heal from, 2 years later, through a lot of spiritual work and through a lot of trauma healing, on top of running the business energetically, on top of servicing my clients, on top of taking care of my mental and physical health, being there for friends, being there for family, coordinating all the things I do. I mean, I was energetically depleted. And this is what goes on, I think, behind the scenes for so many of us, because we're dealing with personal things that come out of nowhere. And you're not thinking as you're building your business, especially if you're alone, okay, well, maybe a year from now, if somebody dies, or if I need to take a mental breather for 2 months and get my head back on straight, how am I going to have money coming in when I service my clients? So really, by the grace of God, I've been able to have the strength to do the healing work I have and keep this business moving forward. But it has not been easy. And I charge my value and all those things. Like, I'm not somebody who, I'm really in a place of like, I know what I'm worth. I know what I bring to the table. It's not a matter of like, is the pricing off? Should I fix this or that? It's just that I'm one person.
Yes.
And there's only so much that one person can do.
That's right.
And there are days where I sat and cried in bed and could not get out of bed because I was so depressed. And I had to go show up and be on set with a client doing a TV segment. And of course had to be great, show up great for them and be, because it wasn't their fault I was going through what I was going through, right? But it's really hard when you don't have someone to emotionally be there for you in the house. I had no one to fall back on financially, right? So I think this is the reality for a lot of women out there. And life will happen. And maybe it might not be a death, but maybe it's a divorce, or maybe it's God knows what, right? And so I want everyone to be operating more from a place of realizing that as they're building and they're doing the things they love, that we need to think of, can I really sustain myself and have enough business coming in month after month and stay in that alignment energetically to keep a business moving forward on just your two shoulders? And for me, in all of the grieving I did as I was healing, it came up for me that I actually really don't love running a company. And I am very comfortable sharing with people this because I got into doing what I do because I love PR and I love helping people get coverage on their brand or their mission or their wonderful purpose that they have to help people or serve people. But I didn't get into what I'm doing because I love running a company. And those are two totally different things. So I think what's happening in this world right now, especially in the online world, is so many people out there want to start businesses, which I am all for. But I think they're forgetting that if you love your passion and you love doing what you're doing, that's great. But very few people love their passion and love running the business. And if you're a solopreneur, we are running everything. And so I just want people to think about that before they do step into doing this, because it's not easy to do it all.
Oh no, I love you for this. And we've had this conversation privately many times. And that's the whole reason I wanted you to come to the podcast, because ladies, I hope you're paying attention. What Nicole just said is a very clear distinction, right? There is a very clear distinction to be passionate and in love with your passion in that particular area. You know, it's like when I talk to people about public speaking, everybody loves seeing me on stage. But I promise you, if you saw what goes behind the scenes, where you have to get on millions of calls and you maybe out of 20 sales calls, if you're great, close 3,
That's
you know,
right.
and then maybe 1. And then the fact that you have to sometimes live out of a suitcase for 10 days. And the fact that you have to deal with all kinds of organizers. Some of them are more weird than others. And you have to hold books everywhere. And you have to have book signings and, you know, print all kinds of things. And then you ship them into the hotel and they never arrive, or the half of them arrives. So there are so many things, what Nicole was saying about running a business, that you need to be, if not in love with, but definitely familiar and comfortable and at least account for this before you jump in. Because it's very easy to say, I want to go be an entrepreneur. And I'm, you know, I coach women on starting and scaling businesses, but I'll be the first one to tell you that entrepreneurship is not for everybody. That is why I do have clients who are still working for corporate and running a side hustle, a profitable side hustle, but they may never leave. And I'm okay with that, because to me, you have to, it's what Nicole said. I mean, let's just be, I mean, I'm going to just go as basic as it gets. If you're a single female entrepreneur and you have no family, no support around you, you have days when you are sick and bad. It's just as basic as that. And you don't have anybody to say, I need you to go to the grocery store. I need you to bring me medicine. I need you to go answer 2,500 emails that I have there in 3 days.
And get on a conference call and prepare an agenda and then produce results and all the things.
That's right. And all those things happen. And that's why Nicole said, if you're running a business, your place of running it from needs to be definitely clear on the fact that there'll be bad days and there'll be bad months and moments when you
there will be. And you know what? I want everyone to also know, like, I turned 40 this past year also. And I love that through such a dark time in my life of healing the grief of my father, it got me actually to realize that I don't want to be an entrepreneur forever. And that was a huge thing for me to detach from the identity of me being this woman that I thought I needed to be for everybody. But, you know, I respect the people. Like, I would say to everyone listening, like, try it. Like, I'm never going to leave this earth with regrets. And I love that. I have that kind of soul. I have gone and done so much. I've accomplished more in my career and I've experienced more than people can even dream of. And I feel so good about it. And I never lost sight of who I was or changed who I am to do any of it. But I will say this, at 40, I've been an entrepreneur twice, or I don't even need to say entrepreneur. I'll just say I've had my own business twice. Okay. And I know I'm not going to do this probably, you know, a whole lot longer. But it's okay. And it's okay to do it and then decide that maybe your soul is in a different place and your priorities have changed and you're craving something a little different than maybe you did a few years ago. And that is the beauty of all this. If you're someone who's willing to just try and take those leaps and do what your soul's craving, maybe today your soul's craving to be the business owner, but maybe 5 years from now, you're doing something totally different and it's okay.
Yeah. And I loved, like, if you walk away from like, I literally got goosebumps. If you walk away from anything from this podcast, I need you to pay attention to what she just said when she said, let go of your identity. Because so many times, and especially nowadays, there is this huge drive on social media for this identity of being a business owner, being an entrepreneur. And somehow it's like identified as glamorous only. And like you work for 3 days and then you have a mansion and a Lamborghini. None of this is true. Okay. First of all, this is from one of the best PR people that I know. She's just saying that to you, but also part of that identity is your ego. And I mean, you have to be willing to let go of that and saying, you know what, I want to pivot. And yes, I'm tired and I'm burned out and I'm going to walk away, because I promise you, no amount of money you're making is worth a burnout. The fact that your family or your loved ones are only getting leftovers of you. I've had moments where between my first business and my second business, I had to go because I have a daughter and I couldn't tell her that we don't have lunch money. And I had my low moments and I went and I nannied, and I talk about it openly, and I would do it 10 times over. I'm still friends with the family I nannied for. They knew that I was building iStartFirst, and they knew I was building Rising Tycoons at the time. But I was okay with that. I wasn't attached to the identity of a link on stage and this glorious woman that's on the covers of magazines or whatever. It's pointless. It is worthless.
Well, that's also because you value who you are and you're humble enough to know that, you know, I have so much respect for you and any woman. It's already hard enough doing this alone, but you also have another human being to care for, and you have a dog. I mean, the pressure is enormous, and that's my frustration with social media. And it's not because you and I sit and stew in negative. We are super aligned, positive, spiritually evolved women who have done the work. This is not a victimhood mode. This is not a woe is me. This is just straight facts that you have to be able to pay your bills. You have to be able to take care of all the bills that come in every month. And, you know, I think so many people get into this and forget. I mean, I was making a lot of money. So I kick myself sometimes and I go, okay, why did I do this? But I also know that I didn't start this business again for the money. It was my soul needing to serve people in another way. And the biggest message I can leave with that full circle is that through my healing, I realized that Nicole Myden, as I show up every day and I get out of bed, I am impactful in this world, no matter if I'm a publicist helping people or not. And that is the thing that people need to remember, is that you do not need to go run a business to create impact in this world. You are already enough as you are.
That's right. Oh God. Yes. Preach, sister. Yes. I mean, it's so true and so good. I mean, yes, that's the thing. Your identity is you as a woman. So I am telling you, like, if you're listening, save this, re-listen to this. I know we're throwing a lot at you. We're throwing a lot of things that are controversial. Some of them are probably freaking you out. Some might rub you the wrong way. But again, it's what Nicole said. We're both very evolved. We're both super supportive of any woman who goes out and, like she said, you go try, you go do, you go experiment. But just remember, and I think it's especially prominent for women. Women love pretty things. We're designed for creativity. We're designed to be nurturing. We're designed to go and touch and feel and look. So if you get yourself to the point of darkness where all you can afford is like bare bones, you're not going to be able to be creative for much longer. I'm telling you this from experience. I'm telling you through experience of multiple clients. So to me, yes, freedom is, you know, amazing thing, and feeling it and being able to do your schedule. But there are multiple options for that too. I talk to people all the time about the fact that we now have, I would say any good company has about 10% of their jobs being at home. And I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm telling you this because I know that we sometimes get to this mode driven by social media, that everything is glamorous, everything is at a touch of a button, everything is Insta, and it's not the case. It is not the case. It's Instagram to Instant Pot. That's my
True.
Yes. Yes. So Nicole, I mean, thank you for sharing this. It's such a beautiful part of your story that I wanted women to know. And you and I had multiple conversations about that. And I know both of us are available and will be raw and real and honest with you if you ask us those questions.
Yes.
And you obviously will have connection to Nicole in the show notes. But before we end this today, I know there is a girl out there who is listening, a woman out there who is saying, you know, but I would love to touch with PR world. I would love to dabble my feet. I never really thought about it, but it sounds so incredibly fascinating. If you were to give her one advice, what would you say?
Yes. So for someone to start their own PR company or just get into PR in general?
I would say get into PR in general.
So PR is an amazing job. I've been doing it for 20 years. I love it. I would say, there's so many things, but I would say Do not think that you need to go to the top right away. Humble yourselves. I was an intern for almost 2 years before I got like a full-time job. Those internships helped me learn how to zip my mouth, observe, and do work. So I think this generation right now is so quick to move to the top, but really take your time and put in the time earlier on. Like I can go get that very high 6-figure salary again right now and step into corporate tomorrow if I want to, because of the time I put in for 20 years, right? So stay true to who you are, but really, really roll up your sleeves and just be willing to do the work. And, just don't lose sight of who you are. It's a fun business, but it can really, really play with your ego and play with you in a lot of ways. So I would say just stay true to who you are and don't be afraid to, really just, like I said, roll up your sleeves, build the relationships, and, stay in touch with everybody, because I'm still talking to people now who are clients of mine that I've known for 20 years from when I started in the business. So the relationship building is everything. So stay in touch with everybody, follow up with everybody, send thank you notes, like build your Rolodex from the get-go.
Love it. Love it. Build your Rolodex from the get-go. I love that. Oh God, it was such a good conversation. Yay! I am so grateful for you, everything you're willing to share and how you show up in this world and your soul and your magic. Thank you for being with us today, Nicole.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to iStartFirst podcast. If you loved it as much as I did, feel free to tag us on Instagram at iStartFirst_. Share it with your besties, and if you feel so compelled, give us that 5-star review on iTunes. Till next time, and like always, kick ass and sparkle up.